life. Always look on the bright side of life. Some things in life are bad, they can really make you mad. Other things just make you swear and curse. When you're chewing on life's gristle, don't grumble, give a whistle. This'll help things turn out for the best. Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the right side of life. If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten, and that's to laugh and smile and dance and sing. When you're feeling in the dumps, don't be silly chumps. Just purse your lips and whistle, that's the thing. So always look on the bright side of death. Just before you draw your terminal breath. Life's a counterfeit when you look at it. Life's a laugh and death's the joke, it's true. You see, it's all a show. Keep them laughing as you go. Just remember the last laugh is on you. Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life.
Hi, and welcome to Ward 13. I'm Veranette March, and I'm here to interview Rob Azevedo.
Yes, hi.
How are
Thanks
you?
for having me, Veranette.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. You've just been published.
A book of poems, yes. It's
Book-
my second book.
Second book, but first with poetry.
Yes, yep. And it's called Turning on the Wasp. And, that came out of nowhere. I hadn't written poetry for reals for like 30 years since college, like a English comp, a poetry class. But I was home during COVID nonstop. So way back in, I want to say 2020 of April. I don't know, I just started writing poetry and every day and just, not really thinking much of it. Just kind of knocking them out, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe tops spent on it, on a poem. And then I was on this kind of this worldwide group poetry site called allpoetry.com. And so I put a bunch together and I picked a few that I thought were okay. I didn't know what's good for poetry, really. I haven't really read much poetry in the past either. And so I sent them out to a website called Spartan Press, which is out of Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri. And just to see if, they would get on their website or something like that. You know what I mean? A bunch of websites, and maybe they would just run one of my poems. But the editor ended up getting back to me like a week later saying, do you have like 50 more poems?
Wow.
Yeah, which I didn't, but I said, yes, of course I do. And so I wrote a whole bunch more, and I sent them off to him. And then, I don't know, like 3 weeks later, I got an email from him saying, so I'm thinking January. And I was like, what are you thinking in January?
Right.
What? And he's like, we'll put a book out of this. And so I was like, what? So I was really excited and that's the result of it. That's like 70 poems that I wrote in 2020.
And that's like the interesting part. You're a creative guy.
I guess sometimes.
You do the music and
Yeah.
but how that comes out. Some people, you could just have writer's block and you just feel like you can't produce anything. Mm-hmm. And then out of nowhere, it's just, things just start happening. You're like, okay, well, I have this idea, I want to do this, you know, and like how you said, like things just started coming out with your writing.
Yeah.
Like one after the other,
One after the other, every single morning. I bang out one or two poems. And again, good poems, bad poems, I had no idea. You know what I mean? I don't have any real poet friends. One of my friends is good buddies is a guy named Nate Graziano who writes for the Manchester Inklink, and he's put out a bunch of poetry books. But we don't really talk about poetry, you know, and I don't talk about poetry with my Manchester buddies. So I didn't know, so I was just putting them out there. But it felt good. It felt like it had some rhythm. I'm always trying to go for a voice and a certain pace in my writing, whether it's writing columns or essays or whatever. I'm just always looking for a very conversational tone, recognizable tone, something that's I'm not trying to speak poetically or speak beyond my own speech.
You're not trying to be somebody else through the writings.
Right. I'm not trying to be Dylan Thomas or even Bukowski or, some of the more plain-spoken poets. I just try to sound like myself, and that's the result of it. But, too, with poetry, like I've written, if you write a column, like, say, for the Manchester Inklink, that's 800 words. If you wrote a book, which I did, I wrote one book prior, it's a lot of work. Poems is like a diet. I mean, it's like the lazy man's composition. Right. I believe. You know what I mean?
And it's good because, like, even if you think, I used to journal. Sometimes I'm on and off with it, depending, because it's hard to keep. It's hard for me to keep up with anything, like doing it every day, like routine. But even with like journaling, like if you think about it, like a poem could like represent your day of like, this is what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Today,
Yeah. Yeah. It comes right out.
Yeah.
It 100%. It could be, some of the poems can be pretty straightforward storytelling poems without any flowery, powdery words in there, not just bang, 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 bang. Sometimes you're in a dark mood. Right. Oftentimes I can be, like a lot of poets, and I don't know about a lot of poets, but I have a better time writing dark stuff than flowery stuff.
That's interesting that you mentioned that because I was always big into Edgar Allan Poe and stuff. And so even when I first started writing, I felt like it was geared more to that.
Do you have a dark side? Well, we all have dark sides.
Right. And it's just like, or, like musicians that I was attracted to at the time, like Marilyn Manson was huge with that. Yeah. So that kind of wording or his like artistry, I was into, Yeah. And I felt that that's how also my writing has been. And then, then you have better days, I guess. But I've noticed I've always been on the darker side.
Well, Veranette, one of the questions on Granite State of Mind that I ask musicians quite a bit, or solo musicians, I'll say, so do you have a better time writing, or do you have an easier time writing when your life is going swimmingly? Or do you enjoy writing more? Are you more productive when you're like down licking the gutter and like just dumped? Your heart's ravaged. And 9 out of 10 says ravaged when I am like as down as you get. That's when my best stuff comes up. Right.
And you could hear that in the music. You could read it and you feel it. I think it's like when you were saying like a voice, but even more so than that, people can connect with you better on that because, and especially since you wrote that during the quarantine, like look how much stuff was going on at the time or whatever. So it's something that people could relate to, reading your stuff or, it's just something that it also helps other people. Yeah. So you're helping yourself by getting it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then now when people get to read your work or listen to a song or, it's just something that could help them as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's all about, for me personally, self-fulfillment. It's not about, you're not going to make any money if you're a poet. You don't make barely any money unless you're a famous writer. You're not going to make much money at all. So it's all about self-fulfillment for me, feeling productive, getting it out. Like had COVID not come around, I doubt very much I would have ever dove back into poetry, I
don't know if we got a phone call in or not.
Yes, just hit the on-off button once.
Where's the on-off here?
The big one. All right, say hello.
Hi, you're on the air.
Oh, hey, it's Easy G.
Oh,
Easy.
hey, what's up, Easy?
Hey, it's funny you bring up the poems. You should try to connect with my friend Jim. He's a poet on Channel 23.
Okay. What's his
He's
last
really
name?
Good too. Wow. I don't know how he learned that, but boy, he's good.
That's good.
And it was funny because I don't know where I found it, but I did a poem last week in my entertainment report. I never done that before, and I got real good reviews.
Super, man. So you read the poem?
Yeah, something different.
Something that you wrote or your bud Jim?
Oh no, it's something I found somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Somebody else, the lady that wrote it. So I announced her name, so
Very nice.
I didn't want to plagiarize it or something, you know.
Yes. That's cool.
No,
Easy.
yeah.
It's funny though, Veranette, you bring up the journaling. I've been doing that since January 1st, and I started off really with a ball of fire, but I'm really struggling lately with it.
Now, with your journal, so do you usually do it like at the end of the night?
I don't know. It just doesn't seem to have any rhythm to it lately. But yeah, I started off with I think the most I wrote was on January 6th when they had the people stormed the Capitol. I think I wrote like 2 pages, and then I ended up in the hospital because I scratched my eyeball. So that was a very interesting day.
So you haven't really been journaling much since then?
No, since this, I have. I started off really good like the last 4.5 months, but I've been struggling with it ever since. I went like 2 weeks without doing anything. So.
Well, it's funny because
It's definitely something new to do, but I don't think I'm going to do it long term.
yeah, like I said, it's hard to keep up with it daily, but I hold on to all my journals.
Uh-huh.
And once in a while, I'll look
really?
back. Yeah, I have them all, and it's funny because I'm like, I don't know if I should really keep it because I'm like, if this gets into the wrong hand, because these are like your private everything, that
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going through and stuff like that. And there was a
Wow.
part, because I have had them since like I was 12.
Yeah.
So I've had all these journals that I kept along the way, and
Wow.
I'm like, maybe I should burn them. I don't know if I should hold on to them.
You hold on to them. Hold on to them, Vernon. I'll tell you, I just went through the same thing. I'm in the process of packing up a bunch of stuff in my house, right? So down in my basement, my work office, I have boxes full of correspondence that I used to print out on AOL, to editors, like when I was trying to sell articles way back in the mid-'90s, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I saved all that stuff for some reason, and old crappy writings and stuff. And so I was like at this spot the other day where I'm like, am I throwing this stuff out or am I going to keep it? Am I going to throw all these rejection letters from newspapers and magazines that said, no, we don't want your story? So I kept them. I said, I'm keeping them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it a couple of years ago, and I'm going to do it again next year. A friend of mine did it like 20 years ago. Yeah, put it on the list. You make a list. Anything you do something new, you put it on the list. I did it a couple of years ago. I did like probably 45 new things that year that I'd never done before. I mean, a couple of them were pretty lame, but
Yeah, it's usually like a bucket list.
Yeah.
I've had that before. I've
it's not really
I've done a
bucket
lot.
list. It's when you do something new, you put it on the list.
Oh, just to see how many new things that you've been doing.
Right. Yeah,
But,
I'm gonna do
you
that
might
again
find
next year. So.
you might find
Well,
something.
great show, and keep up the good work, everybody.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Ease.
Thanks for calling in.
But you might find something in those journals, a line, even a word that you could salvage and
Right,
use.
that comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes, well, like I said, besides holding on to all of these journals, but I was thinking too. I'm like, well, maybe the reason why I wanted to get rid of them is because I'm holding on to that old energy. Mm-hmm. Almost like a baggage,
Yeah.
I'm kind of torn. I don't know yet if I'll save or not, but I did.
How many journals are there? Is there a bunch?
Yeah, there's
Do you think
at
you have
least
to
like
throw
15.
them? Do you have to throw them all out, or could you just throw 7 and see how it feels off 7?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't even read through back. Sometimes I'll look back and I absolutely do not remember at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something worth to write about,
Yeah.
but it's out of my memory bank.
I don't know. I keep that stuff. It's very,
Yeah, I'll probably end up keeping it, but,
give it another 10 years.
yeah, at least.
I mean, almost none of it I've gone back and fingered through and been like, oh, that's a good line, that's a good idea, and done anything with it. But, I mean, something was just telling me, hold on to them. So I'm going to hold on to mine. But if something's telling you, obviously, you're into all this, let it go. Maybe you're supposed to be letting it go.
I'm debating.
It's like breaking up with a boyfriend or girlfriend. You know what I mean? You've got all this stuff. Do you dump it or do you keep it?
Right.
You get rid of it.
Right.
Especially if they moved on.
Yeah. Some stuff I kept was just like, oh, someone loved me once.
Oh, my God.
But yes, you brought a couple of your poems. Would you like to recite one?
Sure. I thought yes, that'd be great. So these are all different. These are some 3 poems that have nothing to do with turning on the Wasp.
Okay.
They're not in here. These are just ones that I've written recently.
Oh, okay. So we're getting like the exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, I guess exclusive. And these are kind of like a little spicy. I don't know what kind of mood I was in. They're clean, but you can definitely tell what kind of mood was taking me over. So the first one's all right. So the first one's called "You Own Me," and I don't know. Have you ever had a been in a relationship or knew somebody or been with somebody, and whether they owned you or not, they seemed all their attention owned you. You know what I mean? Their presence owned you. So I started thinking about that sort of stuff. And none of these are really 100% personal, you know what I mean, written off biographically out of my head or anything like that. But I don't know, this was the type of morning I was in. And usually these things get pumped out, by like 7:30 in the morning. And then maybe I'll go back that night and dust them up with a little flavor, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's called "You Own Me."
Okay.
Aching to taste the heel of your foot, your crumpled brow, the lineage of your stamina, I wrangle my might and set forth, unrepentant, unmade, unwashed, and crown my mind with the blowing scent of your browning thighs that shine and tumble on slippery ground, whipping down hard on my electric loins, our tongues tied like rat tails, tangled and swollen, deserted by starry skies, digested by lust, exposed with weaknesses. Our cloudy drops of sweat meander down the nape of your neck, down the line of your spine, into the stacked flesh, dimpled and screaming for touch. You own me, you know it, and I'm good with that. End poem.
Very spicy.
Spicy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, too, especially with that particular type of poem, how men and women write it differently. You know, I've noticed that, too, like a gender difference of, like, the way they describe certain things and stuff like that.
But we've all, like...
Definitely.
We've had times where everybody has been locked in a passionate kiss where your tongues are tied like rats, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like the tails of rats. And I always think about, drip of sweat down the nape of someone's neck, or, the taste of lips or breath or the smell
just the intensity of the moment.
Yeah, the intensity of it, right. Yeah.
No, definitely. I really like that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's called "You Own Me." And then, do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
Let me see. This one's called "Lay Heavy on My Skin," and I think it's about catching a glance. You never know what the hell's it about. You know what I mean? Completely what it's about. But so this is called "Lay Heavy on My Skin." A crushing glance, glowing beyond recognition, lays heavy on my skin. As piled of bent, twisted rays spring fast across my hung-dried neck, weathered pockets of gloom, abandoned by dabs of light, languishing on riverbeds, on mountainsides, on matted sands flooded with pennies, in rings of constellations, pairing peacefully on the crystal shores, sliding sideways against my hangdog grin. So, sliding sideways against my hangdog grin. So I think this one's about, just glancing, admiring a beautiful figure, a beautiful face from a distance, not even conversing with the person. Just, you see an attractive man, you see an attractive woman, whatever you're into. You can admire them without even going up to them and stand back and be like, damn, that's a attractive woman. That's an attractive man. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so...
Just finding like a little appreciation for.
Well, more than a little, you know what I mean? Because that person, I've found myself studying that person so closely without getting
Involved, really.
without getting involved, without looking like a creep, without crossing any lines. You're looking at that person or that individual strictly for the beauty that they. That they lay out on you, that lays heavy on your skin, on your eyes, on your psyche, on your being, I guess.
And it's funny when you think about, too, how many times, like, people and stuff like that, and you don't even know if you have that effect on somebody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just like your everyday going out and meeting people and stuff like that, and it's like that feeling that they possibly have, like, they'll never tell you, that they like you or this, and but it's just they hold it in because they're just happy with
that.
Right.
That's enough.
Right.
We're not looking to, get wicked in the bed sheets or anything like that. That's not the goal there. The goal is just literally, you can look at a beautiful house. You can look at a beautiful sunset. You know what I mean? Look at a beautiful bridge across the Merrimack or something like that, and it's not much of a different thing. But sometimes, that glance, that experience of recognizing someone's beauty, that comes out of nowhere, right? You could be walking down a street or something like that. It's not planned. It's like poetry. It's like, with me and my poetry and nearly everything I write, unless it comes out fast and, I don't have to work it. The more I work it, the worse it is.
Right.
All the time. Just in my experience, the more I work a sentence, the worse the sentence is.
It's like because you overthink too much now.
Overthink.
Rather than just letting it come out.
Yeah.
And
and we all know those nights, where, okay, so say you're a person who's, God, the biggest thing you want to do is be in a relationship. Nothing's happening, though. Nothing's happening. Until this one night where you don't care, you didn't really put much time into what you're looking like that night, and then all of a sudden you meet somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of like that with poetry. You sit down with myself. I'm not even expecting to write a poem. I don't know where this lays heavy on my skin comes from, but this is what comes out of my subconscious. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like a crushing glance. That's the first line. Where am I going with that? What happens after that glance? What am I looking at?
Right.
You know what I mean? What do I see in that individual?
Exactly.
So.
And it's funny too, because like I used to write some stuff that came from my dreams, and I guess that's kind of like Stephen King, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of his writings come from like his nightmares and things like that. But it's amazing the stuff because that's subconscious.
Yep.
Things that could just come out in your writings in that sense.
So you can remember your dreams?
All of them.
Really?
They're so vivid.
Mm.
Yep. Sometimes.
And they don't fade, like, after you wake up, they don't fade away, like, by the time you're done showering?
No.
Yeah,
that's
good.
how.
Lucky you.
Yeah, that's how strong it is. It's like watching a movie.
Yeah. And you write those, and do you believe that dreams are telling a story or sending a message or?
Yeah, each one is different. Sometimes it's just maybe, it's just piecing something together that I haven't seen. Like, it was like literally there was a dream that I had. Like, so much is going, because so much happens. You know how they say because I dream about strangers all the time. Mm-hmm. And they say, everyone in your dreams is somebody you know. I don't believe that. I've definitely been in areas where I don't know the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm even like in their body. I'm like somebody else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's heavy.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. But these are all like the things that I have to like hone in on to get the interpretations of them more. But at least like when I write it out, I kind of get an idea of what's going on.
Sure. No. Most of my dreams, at least in the past, I've always been being chased. So I'm sure that answers something. I'm running from something. I'm being chased. I'm in a panic. But I always find my way out of the situation, either through awakening or I'm working, I'm working to get towards fixing that problem. But I'm running and I'm being chased.
They always say, like, if you're being chased, and it's hard to do that, but that's more where you'll get practice, like if you practice lucid dreaming and things like that, where you'll be able to control your dream. So, like, whatever is chasing you, you would tell yourself to turn around and confront who it is that's chasing you or what's chasing you,
Yeah.
Yeah, lucid dreaming is pretty cool because you get to control the dream. Sometimes if I remember I'm in there, then I'll be like, okay, I want to do this, do that, and then
those dreams where you're like, you're dreaming, you're locked into the dream, but you're conscious in the dream.
Right.
And you're almost like, can I get out of this?
Right.
Now? Yeah.
So
it's cool. Sleep's great.
Yeah.
I love sleep.
So much to learn from it. And I feel exhausted half the time when I wake up because I'm like, I feel like I didn't sleep.
Yeah, because you spend so much energy dreaming.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So usually with that stuff, I add into some writings and whatnot. But,
Tell me about your poetry.
Well, like the first one that I wrote, I said it was like 9 or 10. And it was, you could tell I was young,
Sure.
I was talking about the moon,
Sure.
it was just a very brief poem. Not deep, nothing, and then you could tell when I started becoming a teenager how all of that's changed. And then I was a little more darker, talking about different things. I know, in fact, this is pretty funny. We had to write a Valentine's Day sonnet for our English class. And at the time, I was going through a breakup with somebody. So when the English teacher was asking anybody want to read their poem, I'm right away like raising my hand, like I'll go up. And I went out, it was kind of like sexual at the beginning. It's funny because you're a teenager and everybody's like laughing in class, like, like,
well,
where's
their
this?
loins are on fire, their hormones are on fire. They're like, ha ha ha. Yep.
Yeah, and I went through this whole thing, and then finally at the end, because I just wanted to give him a dig, and I just put, he didn't love me, and now I know why. He didn't love me, but another guy. So, of course, that got the whole
He was
class.
in love with another guy? Or
no, he wasn't. I was just giving a dig.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Give it to him. Right?
But, and not that anything's wrong with that, by the way. But, just as like a teenager and you want to, make fun of, not make fun, but like give a dig to your ex. That's like one of the things you say.
Isn't that funny how you got to put it almost you did a quick almost disclaimer, not that there's anything wrong with it.
Right.
It's
right.
like it's 2021. It's not even I'm not saying you, but there are so many topics that I see about. I'm like, are we still talking about blacks versus whites? I'm like, is this really Mississippi in the 50s? Are we still talking about this? Do we need to, like, when I see people make announcements, like on Facebook or something, that they're gay or something like that, I'm like, is this really necessary? Like, I don't know. By 2021, in the advancements we've all made technologically, socially, I don't know. I figure if we talk about it less and everybody just be themselves,
Right.
then what is there to talk about? What is there to argue about?
Right. And it was, and like I said, at that time, and it wasn't, like I said, making fun of gay people. It was just to get him, it was just a dig.
Yeah,
It
sure.
was
Get
just something,
get him.
That's what you say, and then with like little stuff in between there. Like I said, it was like all sexual stuff about this. But it was cool because it was a way, like, when I would ever read my poems or do anything like that in class, I would do it in a way that people actually enjoyed listening and getting into it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in a creative writing class, and that really helped get things out. And doing some comedy stuff too.
I think when people like it shows guts. I think when you're doing that young and you're willing to reveal yourself, you know what I mean, to your classmates or friends or something. I think that's big to them, and they don't know how to show that, like, there's a level of maturity where they don't really know how to show that, wow, I want to be able to do that. I want to have the balls to do that. You know what I mean? At that age.
And it became a popular thing that even if I was going out to the bowling alley or something like that, people would come up and be like, "Oh, can you recite that poem?" Because they thought it was so funny and different and just.
Do you do any open mics, poetry open mics or anything, like any of the slams down there?
I've never done it.
Oh.
I don't know why. I think
Would you want to?
You don't have to memorize, do you? Or?
No, I don't think so. I think you can come.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I have a bunch of stuff that, like that hasn't been published or I haven't submitted it to anything. So, I mean, I could read that.
That's the best thing. I don't know. I think a poetry night somewhere in Manchester, which I'm sure they have a bunch of. We're doing, myself and my friend Nate Graziano, he's got a book out as well. We're doing a reading on August 5th down the Bookery, right? But I would love to be part of like somewhere downtown. You don't need much space, you know what I mean? Grab a couple pints, 5, 6, 10 people, 12 people, get up there, read 2, 3 poems a piece. That's a good night. That's a good way to get that stuff that, this stuff here, I write these poems, right? Because I want them to be read. I'm not doing it therapeutically. I guess maybe a little therapeutically because I feel a need to write it. Like I feel I need to go to the bathroom. Like you know what I mean? I got to do this. But like it's fun to read these things and write them and then lay them on people.
Right.
And not only that, but play with the presentation, how you're going to present the poem, you know what I mean? We've done a couple where Kerouac beat, there's like many people, beat generation poets we've liked. And so we've said, okay, let's put together a little tribute to Jack Kerouac. We did this about a year or so ago. And had a few jazz musicians come in and put some, sax behind our words. It's just all fun. It's a way to kill some time.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I would definitely be interested in doing something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, now that, things are open up now and everything, you could probably even get it together by doing like a meetup group.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that.
Yeah, fun.
You said, what's the one you're doing at the Bookery?
We're doing with Nate Graziano. Nate Graziano, again, a columnist for the Manchester Inklink. He has a book out called blah, 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 Seagull. And it's a really good book. It's a book of, it's just a real fictional, very good book. And I'm going to be reading Turning on the Wasp, a couple poems from this, down at the Bookery in Manchester, and which I've done. I did a reading down there from my first book, Notes from the Last Breath Farm, which was a memoir a few years ago down there.
Oh, okay. I have a couple of, because I started writing some kids' books.
Oh, nice.
And this is like in my early 20s that I wrote them, but I didn't know how to get it moving,
Yeah.
Like I wrote them and it was going to be kind of like a series.
Yep.
But just, find, because nowadays, you can self-publish, do this, but just finding the right steps to get there, It's
Yes.
like, okay, all right, the first part's done, now what?
Yes. So what did I do? So as far as self-publishing, I don't know. I'm a little old school. I figured I didn't want to self-publish. I want to go all the way. You know what I mean? And when I got my first book, that's a whole thing. You can write your stuff, but then it's another job to get it published, okay?
Right.
It's almost as equally hard, if not harder, to get some guy to put some money, or guy or some woman to put some money into making a book like this and get it printed and get it...
Right, they're investing in you.
They're investing in you. So that can take a lot of work. It's the same thing with musicians, you know what I mean? They can sit and write an album, but then they have to email booking agents. They got to book shows. They got to put it on Facebook. All of that. That is as taxing as writing and performing. But unless you're one of those 1% of our authors out there who have an agent or have a publisher that markets for you, then we're all just banging around like all artists, poets, musicians, radio hosts, everything. We're just doing it for the love of doing it. But yeah, that's, I don't know,
I know it's so much work, like even with acting,
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah,
get an
audition.
agent, nail the audition, do this, do that, go, get your pictures done. It's just, like you said, it's not just the material.
Oh, no.
There's so much more than that,
So much more of it. It can be, and Veranette, it's like when I would sell articles, right? When, for years I would sell articles. I wouldn't send out, like say you were the editor, I wouldn't send you out ever an email saying, hey, what do you think about this story on a Monday? I would wait till Wednesdays afternoon time because I had a science down. Nobody wants to read about this. Nobody wants to get an email from a freelance writer saying, hey, I got a great idea at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. That's going to go to delete. Now, while their week kind of unfolds, by Wednesday, they're feeling good. They're willing to read some stuff. And then on Friday, anytime afternoon's a great response time because everybody's looking forward to the weekends. They're in the mood. They're in the mood for the weekend. They're in a good mood. Maybe they'll give you an opportunity between 12 and 5. I had it like down to a science.
Yeah, and Carol was very nice. She
great.
gave me an opportunity. I wrote 2 articles for Manchester Inkling.
Yeah,
So,
Carol's the best.
yeah.
Carol's the best editor, and it's not because I'm here in Manchester. I've had a zillion different editors, right, in my life. Even I wrote a bunch for the Boston Globe when I was in the 90s and early 2000s. And Carol, by far, is the best editor I've ever worked with, simply because she was a beat reporter herself. Long before she was an editor, she knows how to muck, and she knows what it takes to work and how much the words and the sentences that you spend so much time on mean. Now, you could be an editor. I've come across editors that take your copy and they take your voice and just toss your voice out, and all of a sudden it's their voice.
Right.
And it's like, well, what's the point of writing it? But Carol's not like that. Carol just, she's all for the journalist and the writing and the whole process.
Yeah, so some people were coming up to me to do some like investigation journalism. I mean, it's great. I wouldn't mind doing it, but again, so much work has to be put into that,
yeah.
And not to say that I'm not willing to do the work, but between having your own job and then doing the, it's finding that time and that drive to want to continue on doing it,
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that have been nice? They just found that underground nightclub over there on...
Oh, yes.
Now, wouldn't you have liked to have found that?
Now, that is crazy. How long have I been living here? 7 years. And then I just came back. But it's funny, like, I was talking with a friend about it, and I never heard of that place. You would think, like...
Down on the block, the convenience store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I would have heard about it, or somebody, a friend, but...
I'm a Ukrainian brother, which is a Ukrainian club I'm a member of, which is over near there. So I'm in and out of that down on the block on a Friday or Saturday night. Oh, yeah, but I never knew either. I must have walked past that place.
They said it was probably, like, so cool to...
Oh, I don't know what was going on there. I can imagine. I know, that's a bit of a hairy area down there, but nice enough people and stuff like that. But what'd they say?
Like
it was open.
Club.
Yeah, almost like a fight club. What was it, open 2 to 6 at night? You know what I mean? So,
yeah, so
interesting.
Yeah, but like you said, writing like something like that would have been cool.
Right, but that takes a lot of work too.
Right.
And you have to, that's the thing about this writing. It's either everybody, well, I don't know, just what I've experienced. And I'm just like lower level, I'm telling you. I mean, I'm very thankful anytime just, to get on here and talk about writing. But, there are established writers. I'm just a hack, you know what I mean? I'm a hack that goes down his basement night after night after night, you know what I mean? That just bangs it out. But, you got to find out what works best for you, because if you have this grandiose idea and it doesn't come to fruition right away to you, then you might walk away from it, and then all of a sudden you're just thinking, why aren't I doing this? Just got to find that little sliver, that spot to slide into, and there's a bunch of spots that you can slide into.
Right.
Where you can get that feeling like, oh, I'm doing it.
Right.
I'm doing what I want to do. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get rich off it. But people are reading my stuff. I'm writing my stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm doing what I wanted to do. I'm doing what I said I was going to do. Right. And that's a nice feeling.
I was even thinking, because, like, short stories, I have a couple of those. But, like at Reader's Digest, you could submit those to their,
Tough.
It's right,
Reader's Digest, and people might think that, oh, it's Reader's Digest. Anybody? No, there's people from around the world who are sending that stuff into the editors.
Right.
You know? Heck, I used to send stuff to like Esquire magazine when I didn't even know how to write.
Right.
But I thought, oh, I wrote a column in college, and I was a hit in college, thinking I didn't know anything about the publishing world, thinking, oh, Esquire is going to take this. They didn't even get back to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the great thing is, we have Veranette right here in Manchester. We're sitting in a studio. We're in a building where we're a radio, a television station. We got a radio downstairs station that's great. We've been talking about Carol and the Manchester Ink Link. We have all these resources that
true.
A lot of people do not have.
That's true.
That I never had in my 20s, that I didn't have in my 30s nor my 40s. You know what I mean? But we have it all right here. And you're sitting here hosting a show, so you're already doing it.
Right.
Without even knowing it. You might be like, you might be sitting there saying, "Oh, I wish I did this." But dude, you already are doing it. You're in the midst of it.
Yeah, you do have a point. Yeah, and I was thinking about that because when I was talking with some friends to get some more ideas and concepts for the show to make it interesting and stuff, and they had like a lot of great ideas because I want that, what would people like to watch? What do they want to see, And
go with what you want to do. Let them catch up. I don't try to think for anybody else. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what Brendan likes back there, outside of great artwork. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know what the Hop. Well, the Hop likes everything. He's very knowledgeable. You know what I mean? But I just try to do what you do and let them catch up to you.
Right.
You know?
I got a lot of ideas.
Good. That's better than having none. You're doing it. You're halfway
one.
there. You're well past step one. You really are. I mean, if you break it down.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like you don't want to seem like ungrateful or something, because like you said, you're already doing. You don't even realize.
Right.
Yeah, you're already in it.
Say bartending. I've had somebody say a bartender, female bartender, male bartender. Maybe doesn't like the bar that he works at. Maybe it's not his ideal dream. But the guy says, I don't know, man. All I'm doing is bartend, and I want to bartend, I want to really be a bartender. And I'm like, did you just serve me a beer? Yeah. Did you just charge me for that beer? Yeah. You're a bartender, man. Maybe you're not exactly where you want to be,
right.
But you got a lot of life left in you. So
right.
You're there. You're a lot further along than you think.
Right. Because I think, too, I know for myself. Mm-hmm. I have that ideal vision, and I know you're not supposed to do that, but that's the way you manifest it anyway, right?
I believe you're supposed to do that.
Always saying this is where I see it. This is, sometimes it doesn't happen exactly the way you want. I think that's what we hold on to too much, or at least I do. Mm-hmm. It has to be this way or that. But like you said, it's still coming to fruition. It's still happening.
Oh, you can manifest things to happen. You know what I mean? And I believe in it 100%.
Oh, yeah.
If you think on it, I've done more, if you really think on it and just take one step at a time, it's going to happen.
Right.
It's
amazing how powerful the mind is. Because the first part of the manifestation is just believing.
Yeah. In the idea and having it come up.
Yeah, you can't doubt. Don't allow the doubt to come in.
Those thoughts, I believe, and I'm not a big cosmic dude or anything like this, you know what I mean? But I believe that those thoughts enter your mind, right? And it doesn't have to be the arts. It can be anything, you know what I mean? Anything. And I believe those thoughts come into your head for a reason. And it's up to you to either act upon them or not. Come up with an excuse not to do them, which millions of people do, which is usually nonsense excuses, just excuses to talk about doing something and not do it. But I believe that they're there for a reason, and the gods or spirits or energy that sends those thoughts to you, they'll sit back and they'll be like, I just shot it into you, Veranette. Now it's up to you. You're going to sit on it. You're going to piss it away, or you're going to put it in the vault and grab it for
start doing
another day.
The motion for it, yeah. Because it's so funny, certain things, and of course things get delayed or they go into different directions and then they come back around, But I think it's just funny, there are delays, but I think sometimes like you're like, well, maybe I'm not meant to do that, so then you go into a different direction, and then it ends up pulling you back.
Yeah.
To get back on the track you were on. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I do. I know what you're saying. And you know the thing about that track? There's not a time limit. There's never going to be like a bell that goes off and says, "Oh, Veranette, you finally made it. Bing, bing, bing. I did it. Now what am I going to do?" You know, it's like you have all the time in the world. You got your lifetime to make it happen, and all those little steps are the fun part of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
I want to be this. I want to be that.
Right. There's so many things.
You want to be this. You want to be that. But what do you think about, like, okay, I want to be a writer. I want to be a poet. So I guess I can call myself a poet now, right? Which I plan on doing, introducing myself continually to people, which I will not do. But I guess, you know.
But you technically are.
I got a book.
Yeah.
I got a poetry book, so I guess. But that happened just through plugging away, one poem at a time. You know what I mean? And the title means nothing, but I'm a poet. So nonsense. I'm a poet. I'm a clinician. I'm a DJ.
Right.
I'm nothing. I'm just a dude. You know what I mean?
You're something. Well, it's funny you say the same words that I use, because I'll always say I'm like, well, I'm a nobody, but I got this going. And,
right.
You know, and they're like, why do you say that? You know, it's the words that I'm using, I guess, are incorrect, you know.
I think that's maybe me and your way.
Yeah, just the way.
Some sort of defensive mechanism that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because plus it's more of like a humble thing too. It's not like you said, you're like, I just kind of got this, you know. But you put the work into it.
Yeah.
You still did it, and you know you're here reading them, so you're technically a poet.
Not nationally known, barely regionally known.
We got a call. Hi, you're on the air. Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
This is Karen Testerman. I'm here for Norm's community show, and I'm outside. I don't have a code to get in.
Calling the wrong number. Hang out.
Okay.
That's cool.
But as you're learning everything here. Now you also do stuff for the Rex, right? Do you promote shows?
Well,
for the Rex?
I put on a couple shows at the Rex. Chuck was the former guy manager down there, fantastic guy. He's no longer works there anymore. So when the Rex opened up, I met with some of the owners and the heads there, and they were briefly interested in the local music scene. So they let us throw some shows in there. And I thought it was working out good, and we might end up doing some shows someday down the road in there again. But most of my shows, local shows, have been down at the Shashkeen. So easy to work with. Josh Ames in the back room there.
Right.
I mean, you can't. That's like a promoter, musician's dream business relationship. Okay, so, you know, nobody's hammering you. You've only sold 20 tickets this week, and your show's coming up. It's like, it's not what we're talking about here. So we've done a ton of shows, ton of tribute shows down there, a couple odds and end, maybe a poetry reading here and there. But, yeah, I've done a lot of stuff down the Shashkeen and a few other spots over the last number of years. When I started doing Granite State of Mind, this is like my 9th year of doing it. I did it up in Concord for a bunch of years, and then I was doing Concord and Manchester. And out of that, I would just have on, and I still own the format of the show. It's never changed. I just have on statewide musicians to come and play music because I'm so impressed with them always. I don't care who they are, how good they are. They're good to me.
Right.
And so that kind of became, somebody must have said, oh, wouldn't it be fun to put on a tribute to, I don't know, James Taylor or Elton John or Prince, and we've done, and so people sign up, pick their favorite tunes. Before you know it, we got a show. Yeah, and people love them. They've really loved them, and they've been intimate, and I've made so many friends out of, through all these musicians, and the musicians come up as far away as Littleton and Vermont and Boston and Newburyport, so...
Yeah, and like you said too, like where people, like especially musicians, is just like getting that foot in the door. So you're willing to do the travel. It's like, hey, at least I'm still performing.
I might give you $20, but that's
But you're out there. You know, you're doing what you love to do, and That's the whole point, is that enjoyment that you feel.
That's it, man. I used
Afterwards.
to get a rush just so much of my early writing, like articles that I would write, newspapers and stuff. You know, they didn't even pay you. You know what I mean? They didn't even bother.
Right.
They don't even give you a nickel. But man, when I would, before the internet and stuff like that, when I would go down and I'd go pick up my Boston Globe and I'd turn to that section, the Metro Region or the Living Arts section, and I'd see my name there. Whew! I'm on
Yep.
cloud nine, you know what I mean, the rest of the day, and what a rush that would be.
Right.
I'd be
Right.
like, look at my name right there in the Boston Globe. I must be doing something right.
Exactly. Yeah.
know?
And it's those little moments.
That's it.
Really.
That feeds you.
Right.
That feeds you.
It's
You
that
don't-
fuel. Like, it's just exciting and
and it propels you on to your next project.
Right.
That's all it is. You're not looking to get too far up the road. What's the next step you're going to make?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's those bricks, like they talk, bricks. It's not the whole house when you're done. It's the process of building those bricks, and that's the real fun part. You know what I mean? One of my least favorite terms ever when I hear people say like, "Oh, I'm on a journey. Good luck on your journey." I hate it. Oh my God, it's the worst. Don't use that phrase ever. Or shenanigans. I'm up to shenanigans today. Me and the girls, we're gonna go out. But yeah, it's it's just part of the fun, part of the ride.
right. And that's the part for me too that I had to learn to enjoy, because initially it was the end result. What's the end result? But it's the whole moving along part that you have to enjoy.
That's
like,
the
look what
juice.
yeah.
That's the juiciest
Like, look
part.
what it took to get you to where.
Right. Who'd you meet along those ways? When I was talking about seeing that byline and stuff, okay, that's cool just to see that little block of ink. But what
Right.
about the person that you sat down and interviewed? What was that person's life about? What did you get to see? What was the setting of that? That's the stuff. You know what I mean? Okay, the byline's cool. You see it. The rush lasts for a little bit. But if you really think about the people that you interviewed, the work that you did by yourself, alone, because writing and creating is very solitary, lonely profession. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to be able to deal with that too. You know what I mean?
And that part really doesn't bother me, like, because I'm an only child anyway. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm used to. I know how to be alone.
Yeah.
You know. It's mostly with my thoughts.
Yeah, with
You
your
know?
thoughts, right?
But I'm able to do it.
Right.
So, did you want to read your last
Sure.
poem before we head off?
Sure.
I thank you again for coming
Thanks
in
for having me on.
and sharing your poems with us. Like I said, these ones aren't in, the published
These aren't
ones.
and Turning on the Wasp, which is that book's up at Gibson's. It's down at
Can they order that online
Water
as
Street
well?
Books in Exeter. It's up in Warner on Main Street. I can go to Amazon.com. It's all over. And my other book, Notes for a Last Breath Farm, Music Junkie's Quest to Be Heard. That's more of a memoir. They're there. Appreciate
Now,
it.
with really quick too, with your like editor and stuff, are they already speaking with you? Like, oh, are you gonna start writing another one?
Yeah.
Like already
Yep.
talking that
Yep.
process.
I'll probably have something. I'll either have another book of poetry by the winter, come this winter, by the same publisher. And I'm working on something called Queen City Blues, which is strictly tales about Manchester.
Oh, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, kind of like, I could, more of a grittier look, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just have some fun with it, to sort of reflect on some of the conversations that people have come across. I don't really know how it's going to go, but I've written enough poems for two more books, easy.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because it's already
I'm getting up around-
that momentum going.
Yeah, I haven't been off. It's like, yeah. So I'm somewhere around 300 poems, and yeah, okay. Let's get into this. Okay. We did spicy. Now we'll do a sort of half normal. This is called Motionless on the Roadside.
Okay.
What began as a hijinks adventure veered off into chaos, a blackened state of affairs where the wild winds of Wichita conquered the swelling night and lay trembling wires of mischief upon our leather skirts, now crusted over with quivering tears, falling flat upon our baited cheeks, as the blackened night dominated our dispositions. An incomprehensible longing for home stood motionless on the roadside as we thumbed our way through the invisible haze of hopelessness and shuffled lost on sickly knees, our feet heavy as timber, our eyes hooked with fear. We traveled on the winds, cursed with swollen swagger as we ached for the smell of our fathers' faces. And that's pretty much just about, you ever been in lost, run out of gas, just want to get home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that feeling of just wanting to be home.
Just want to be home, man.
Yeah.
I just want to be home. That's it.
And you know what's weird? As you were reading that, for some reason I was picking up, like, Holocaust.
Oh, Holocaust, see?
For some reason, those images came into my mind. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, hey, that's the thing. You interpret it the way you interpret it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Sometimes I write it, I don't even know what the one line means to the next, but then you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, I just wanted to get home.
Yeah.
Those nights where you just want to get home. I've done more walks up from downtown up to the north end where I live, and I'm just like, why didn't I call an Uber? Why didn't I call Queen City Taxi? I just want to be home. My knees are swollen. I'm tired.
Right.
I'm drunk. I just want to be home.
I was just like that yesterday, I think.
Maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's great. I love your writing style.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely it's unique.
Thank you.
And you definitely have a bunch of different things, like you said, a little spicy, it's not just one.
Right. Whatever, you know what I mean? Because we all have different moods and personalities,
Right.
So I kind of tap into whichever one's sitting there right now.
Boom, coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited for you for like the upcoming stuff.
Yeah, August 5th down the Bookery in Manchester. Myself and Nate Graziano, we're doing a reading. I think it's at 5 o'clock. And then this Saturday, if I got half a second, this current Saturday, July 17th at Pulaski Park, myself, we're putting on the Queen City Downtown Jam, an outdoor basketball tournament. Arts in the Park, music, food trucks, Ben & Jerry's, DJ Reckless is going to be there, Grant Lampton's running an open mic. We have Pulaski Park to ourselves all day, 12 to 8. Big men's basketball tournament, 8 teams. It's going to be a blast. Come on down. Free.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing that myself.
Yeah, swing on down.
Yeah.
Get some food, watch some hoops, listen to some music. That's one of those manifestations we were just talking about.
Right.
I would drive past that park, and I said, finally, I got to make a basketball tournament happen.
Well, thank you for coming on
Yes,
the show.
thank you. Thank you.
Rob Azevedo.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to the Hop Knot, I'm guessing.
We sure are.
So you can listen to Matt Connerton's show, Matt Connerton Unleashed. Except when I'm on, it's Unsheath.
Oh, I like it. Nice.
But thank you again.
Yeah.
And hope to see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you.